Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about airlines,
Uh-huh.
specifically how they're approaching sustainability.
Interesting topic for sure.
Yeah, and for this, we've got two market research studies from Cognitive Market Research for you.
Okay.
And these were published January 25th, 2025,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were updated February 4th, 2025.
So pretty up to date then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fairly recent stuff.
Excellent.
And, we're going to be taking a look specifically at two airlines,
Right?
KLM and United Airlines.
Two of the big ones.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So our mission for you today in this deep dive
Mm-hmm.
is to try to understand how they're actually trying to become more eco-friendly.
Got it.
A lot of times we hear about sustainability initiatives and things like that.
Right.
But what does it really mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. What are they actually doing?
Yeah, what are they actually doing?
Instead of just talking about it.
Right. So we're going to unpack all of that.
Love it. Yeah.
Cut through the technical stuff and just give you a clear understanding of what's happening.
Perfect.
So have you ever, when you're booking a flight or you're about to get on a flight,
Yeah.
ever wondered, how are they trying to become more sustainable?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that's been on my mind more and more recently.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people it is, right?
Absolutely.
So let's dive in with KLM and United and see what they're doing.
Let's do it. I'm curious to see what these studies have to say.
Yeah, me too.
It's a really critical question, and for both of us and all of our listeners out there, as we become more aware of the impact of air travel on the environment,
Absolutely.
it's a question that more and more people are asking.
Yeah, for sure.
What I find immediately interesting from these research studies is how both KLM and United are really using market research as a key tool
Oh, interesting.
in shaping their sustainability efforts.
So they're not just...
Yeah, it's not just about implementing the latest green technologies.
Oh, okay.
It's about understanding what you, the passenger,
Oh.
expect and value when it comes to eco-friendly travel.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're going straight to the source.
They are. Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's a very customer-centric approach
Yeah, for sure.
to sustainability,
Okay.
which ultimately benefits you as a traveler.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it means they're tailoring their efforts to what you actually want.
So it seems like
Yeah.
KLM has this really comprehensive approach to figure out what passengers expect.
Okay, so what are they doing specifically?
Well, it looks like they're doing customer surveys to
Okay.
try to figure out what you're looking for
Right.
in terms of eco-friendly options.
Makes sense.
They're also doing their own sustainability audits.
Oh, wow. So they're looking internally as well.
Yeah, so they're trying to find areas where they can improve their own operations.
That's great.
And then, of course, they're analyzing a lot of environmental data.
Right. Got to have the data. Yeah. So it seems like they're trying to get a really complete picture
It sounds like it.
to make informed decisions.
Yeah, a very data-driven approach.
Yeah, and it seems like United is doing something similar. But
Wait, with a bit of a twist, it sounds like.
yeah, a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
They're also using surveys, but they seem to be placing a big emphasis on social media.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Social media, yeah.
Yeah, so they're looking at social
Yeah.
media insights.
So they're seeing what people are saying online.
Yeah, and they're also doing focus groups.
Okay, so getting more in-depth qualitative feedback.
Yeah, and that makes me think that they're really trying to tap into,
Yeah.
those immediate,
Like the raw opinions.
yeah, like unfiltered opinions that people
Mhm.
share about environmental practices.
That's smart because you get a sense of the real-time sentiment.
Yeah.
What are people actually feeling and thinking right now?
Right now, yeah.
Not just what they're willing to say in a survey.
Yeah, and this is interesting to me because it's not just about the passengers, is it?
No, it's not. It goes beyond that.
Yeah, both airlines are getting input from NGOs,
Oh, okay.
environmental NGOs,
Right.
regulatory bodies,
So the people who set the standards,
and industry experts.
so they're getting a really broad perspective
They are.
that's essential for driving meaningful change.
Yeah, and I think that's important for you, the listener, to know,
Yeah.
is that,
Yeah, absolutely.
these airlines aren't just doing this in a vacuum.
Right.
They're actually...
They're actively seeking out input from
Yeah.
all these different stakeholders
Yeah.
to make sure that they're not just superficially addressing these issues,
Yeah.
but really aiming to make a difference.
Right, and I think that's important.
It is.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so we've talked about how they're gathering information.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into the actual technologies they're
Right,
implementing
let's do it.
to reduce their impact.
Yeah. So when it comes to the technology that's actually making a difference, it seems like KLM is really invested in their fleet management systems. Well,
Okay, fleet management systems.
yeah, so basically they're using these advanced systems to really fine-tune how much fuel they use.
Oh,
And as a result of that, they're lowering their emissions.
so it's all about optimization,
Yeah. Optim
making the most of what they already have.
Right. And something that stands out with KLM is their focus on sustainable aviation fuel.
SF.
SF. Yeah. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know a ton about it.
So sustainable aviation fuel is basically a fuel that's made from sustainable sources.
Oh, okay, like what kind of sources?
Well, it can be made from things like
Okay.
used cooking oil,
Oh, wow, interesting.
agricultural waste,
Okay.
and even algae.
Algae, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and it can significantly reduce emissions compared to traditional jet fuel.
So that's a big deal for the environment.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And KLM is not just using it, they're actually involved in developing it.
Oh, wow. So they're really taking a leadership role.
Yeah, and they're creating partnerships to
Oh,
make it more widely available.
that's great because it's not just about them, it's about the whole industry.
Yeah, and that's really going to be important for making SAF a viable alternative in the future.
Absolutely. If it's going to become the norm, we need that kind of collaboration.
Right, and that's really interesting because United seems to be taking a slightly different approach with technology.
Okay, so what are they focused on?
Well, they're really emphasizing the power of data and AI.
Oh, interesting. AI for sustainability in an airline?
Yeah, how does that work?
Yeah, how does that translate into actual benefits?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So AI can analyze huge amounts of data like flight paths,
Okay,
weather patterns.
so they can optimize routes.
Yeah, they can optimize routes to use less fuel
Oh, I see.
and reduce emissions.
That's clever.
Yeah, and it can also be used to manage energy consumption on the ground.
Okay, so at the airport.
Yeah, in the airports and even streamline ground operations.
So less waste all around.
Less waste, yeah.
That's great.
So it seems like KLM is concentrating on the fuel itself,
Yeah.
trying to make a direct impact on emissions per flight,
Right.
while United is focusing on optimizing their existing operations.
Okay, so kind of two different sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and they're both looking at future technologies as well.
Oh, right. Like what?
Things like hydrogen-powered aircraft.
Wow. That sounds futuristic.
It does.
Right?
So they're thinking long-term.
They are, yeah.
That's good to hear.
And that's something we should talk about is the role of customer feedback.
Oh, yes, definitely, because ultimately it's the passengers who are choosing to fly with these airlines.
Exactly. And it makes sense that the airlines would want to know what you think about their efforts.
Absolutely.
So KLM is engaging with passengers to see how willing you are to pay extra for things like carbon offsetting.
That's interesting because it gives the passengers a direct way to contribute.
Right. And they're also seeing if people are willing to pay more for flights that use F.
Okay. So they're really trying to gauge the demand.
Yeah, they want to know, is this something that people actually value? Yeah, because if people aren't willing to pay extra for it,
Right.
then it's going to be harder to make it a widespread option.
Exactly. And United is doing something similar, but it seems like on a larger scale.
Okay, how so?
Well, they're using surveys and monitoring social media.
So they're keeping an eye on the conversation.
Yeah, to see how people are perceiving their green initiatives.
So they're getting a wider range of opinions.
Yeah, and this is really valuable because it allows them to adjust their communication and their programs.
Oh, okay, so they can make sure they're resonating with their customers.
Exactly. And it helps them to ensure that their efforts are seen as genuine.
Right, because nobody wants to feel like they're being greenwashed.
Yeah, exactly. So we've looked at the research methods and the technologies,
Yeah.
but now let's talk about the actual strategies that
Yeah.
KLM and United are using.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. So KLM has really established itself as a leader in sustainability.
Okay, they've been at this for a while.
Yeah. They've been doing this for a long time.
That's good to know.
And they were early adopters of carbon offsetting programs.
So they've got a lot of experience,
And they're investing in fuel-efficient aircraft.
which is essential.
Yeah, and they have this goal of reducing their CO2 emissions by 50% by 2030.
Wow, that's ambitious.
It is. Yeah.
What a good goal to have.
Yeah. And they're also promoting carbon offsetting right when you book a flight.
Oh, that's smart because it makes it easy for people to participate.
Yeah, it's right there in front of you.
So they're really trying to make it convenient.
They are. And United seems to be taking a slightly different approach.
Okay, so what's their strategy?
Well, they're aiming for carbon neutrality by 2050.
Wow, that's even more ambitious.
It is, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
longer-term goal.
So they're really looking to the future.
They are. And
Yeah.
they're investing heavily in SAF.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, and they're upgrading their fleet with more efficient aircraft.
So new planes.
New planes, yeah. And they're also focusing on sustainability in their airport and ground operations.
So they're taking a holistic approach.
Yeah, it's a very comprehensive strategy.
It sounds like it.
And it's important to note that both airlines are emphasizing transparency.
Oh, that's crucial.
Yeah, they're reporting their progress regularly.
So people can hold them accountable.
Yeah, and that's important for building trust.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about how they're tailoring their efforts to different types of travelers.
Okay, because not everyone is the same.
Right, and KLM seems to be focusing on eco-conscious travelers.
Okay, so people who are already prioritizing sustainability.
Yeah, especially in Europe,
Makes sense.
where there's a high level of environmental awareness.
Yeah, for sure.
And United is trying to appeal to a broader audience.
Okay, so they're not just targeting the eco-warriors.
Right, they want to reach everyone.
That makes sense given their global reach.
So they're trying to integrate sustainability into their brand identity.
So it's not just a separate initiative.
Right, it's part of who they are.
Got it.
And they're using segmented marketing.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So basically, they're tailoring their message to different groups of people.
Oh, okay.
So they might have one message for people who are really focused on sustainability
Right.
and a different message for people who are more price sensitive.
That's smart because it allows them to reach everyone in a way that resonates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But of course, there are challenges.
Of course there are. Nothing is ever easy.
Right. And one of the biggest challenges is the costs of these green technologies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
SAF is expensive.
And new planes are not cheap.
No, they're not. And that can have an impact on ticket prices.
Right.
And another challenge is the complex global regulations.
Yeah. Different countries have different rules?
And it can be really difficult to navigate all of that.
Absolutely.
And the research highlights some specific challenges for KLM and United.
Oh, okay, like what?
Well, KLM is having trouble making SAF more readily available.
So even though they're investing in it,
Yeah,
it's still hard to get it to where it needs to be.
exactly. And United is struggling to secure a consistent supply of sustainable fuel.
So they might have it at some airports, but not others.
Yeah, and that makes it hard to implement their sustainability plans.
For sure.
And then there's the challenge of making sure that their efforts are seen as genuine.
Right, the greenwashing issue.
Yeah, and that's not always easy.
No, because people are skeptical.
Yeah, and they have good reason to be.
There have been a lot of companies who have made false claims in the past.
Yeah, so the airlines need to be really careful
Absolutely.
to make sure that they're actually walking the walk.
Right, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah. So how are KLM and United addressing this long-term commitment issue?
Okay, so how are they ensuring that sustainability is a core part of their operations moving forward?
Well, KLM is investing in research and development.
Okay, so they're looking for new and innovative solutions.
Yeah, and they're also being transparent with their progress.
So they're keeping everyone informed?
Yeah, they're publishing regular sustainability reports,
That's good.
and United is building partnerships.
Oh, partnerships are key.
Yeah, they're working with fuel suppliers.
Okay, to secure that S.
Yeah, and technology
To
companies.
help them optimize their operations.
Yeah, and regulatory bodies.
To create a more supportive policy environment.
Right, and they're communicating their achievements and goals to their customers.
So they're engaging with their audience.
Yeah, they're trying to build trust and loyalty.
That's a smart strategy.
I want to share this fast fact with you.
Okay, hit me with it.
A 2023 industry survey found that 65% of airline passengers are willing to pay extra. Not just a niche issue anymore.
No, it's becoming mainstream.
It really is, and it's something that airlines are taking seriously.
And it's encouraging to see
It is.
that so many people are willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, exactly. So to sum up for you,
Yeah.
KLM and United are both making big investments in sustainability.
They're not just talking about it, they're actually doing something.
Right, and they're using market research to understand what you want.
They're listening to their customers.
Yeah, and they're leveraging technology to reduce their impact.
And they're thinking long term.
They are, yeah.
I
They're
mean,
exploring all sorts of innovative solutions.
That's great to hear.
They're facing challenges, but they're committed to making progress.
It's a journey.
It is.
And it's good to see that they're on the right path
And they recognize that environmental responsibility is essential.
for the future of the industry and for the planet.
Exactly.
You know, one thing that really stands out to me from all this
Yeah.
is how multifaceted their approaches are.
Yeah,
There's no silver bullet.
right.
It's a combination of understanding the market,
Yeah.
investing in technology,
Responding to feedback.
and building long-term strategies.
It's a holistic approach.
Yes.
And as that fast fact showed us, there's a growing demand for sustainable travel.
Absolutely.
So I'll leave you with this question.
Okay.
What other innovations or shifts do you think are needed for truly sustainable air travel in the future?
That's a good one to think about.
It is, and I think it's something we all need to be thinking about
Yeah,
as we
definitely.
make our travel choices.
And as we consider the future of this industry.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive,
It's been a pleasure.
and we'll see you next time.
See you later.